They call it Iran today. But 5,000 years ago, this very land made every great emperor tremble in fear. This is the true story of ancient Persia, a civilization born in dust, then raised by gods to rule everything. A story of kings so powerful they called themselves gods. Of wars so brutal they changed all of human history. And a story that is still not finished. Because Iran, right now in 2026, stands at the edge of explosion. Let us go back 5,000 years. The year is 3000 BC. The Persian plateau is alive with ancient tribes. In the southwest, a mysterious people called the Elamites built cities, laws, and a complete written language all their own. They traded with Mesopotamia, worshipped strange gods, and ruled this ancient land for over 2,000 unrecorded years in mystery. Then, around 1500 BC, everything changed. Warriors on horseback arrived from Central Asia, speaking a language never heard here before. They called themselves the Aryans. They gave this land its name, Iran, which means, quite simply, land of the Aryans. Two great tribes emerged from these Aryans, the Medes in the north and the Persians in the south of Iran. For centuries they lived as nomads, herding cattle, worshipping fire, and dreaming of an empire that did not yet exist. By 700 BC, the Medes had formed the first great Iranian kingdom. They were fierce, organized, and impossibly ambitious warriors. In 612 BC, they allied with Babylon and burned Nineveh to the ground, ending the terrifying Assyrian Empire for good. But the Medes' time was running out. In the south, a young Persian prince was quietly and carefully planning revenge. His name was Cyrus. And what this man would do next would completely rewrite the history of the entire world. In 550 BC, Cyrus rose against the Medes, crushed their army, and built the great Achaemenid Persian Empire from nothing. Within just 30 years, Cyrus had conquered Lydia, Babylon, and half of Asia. He was unstoppable, brilliant, and shockingly merciful. Unlike every other conqueror before him, Cyrus freed the enslaved, respected local religion, and let conquered peoples keep their culture. He even freed the Jewish people from Babylon. The Bible calls him the Anointed One, a pagan king, God's chosen. Cyrus the Great wrote the world's first charter of human rights. This was not a European idea. It was Persian. Cyrus died in battle in 530 BC. But the Persian dream did not die with him. It had barely started. Then came Darius I, the man who transformed Persia into the ancient world's most powerful, most organized superpower ever. Darius built roads across 3 continents. He created a postal system. He standardized money and law across 50 million people. His empire stretched from Greece to India, from Egypt to Central Asia. Nothing this vast had ever existed before anywhere. But power always creates enemies. And Greece, just a tiny handful of city-states, decided it was completely unafraid of Persia. In 490 BC, Darius sent his army to crush Greece. The Athenians defeated them at Marathon, an utter Persian humiliation. Darius died before taking revenge. It fell to his son, the mighty and terrifying Xerxes, to finish what was started. In 480 BC, Xerxes gathered the largest army the world had ever seen, nearly 2 million men marching into Greece. 300 Spartan warriors stood at Thermopylae and held back this enormous Persian force for 3 legendary and blood-soaked days. They died, but gave Greece precious time. At the great naval battle of Salamis, the Persian fleet was completely destroyed. Xerxes retreated in shame. The Persian Empire survived, but its myth of invincibility was shattered forever across the ancient world. For 100 years, Persia recovered and ruled. Then from Macedonia came a 20-year-old king with fire in his eyes. His name was Alexander. He swept through Persia like a wildfire, crushing every army, burning every city, changing history forever. In 330 BC, Alexander burned Persepolis, the magnificent capital of the Persian Empire, to the ground. It was a declaration. Persia was conquered. But it was not destroyed. The Persian soul, its culture and language, survived beneath the Greek surface. When Alexander died, his empire quickly crumbled, and from the eastern ashes rose a fierce Iranian tribe called the Parthians. The Parthians held back Rome, the other great superpower of the era, for 3 entire centuries in magnificent bloody battles. Then in 224 AD, a new Persian dynasty rose, the Sassanids. They would create the last great pre-Islamic Iranian empire. The Sassanids fought Rome and then Byzantium for 4 centuries. Their art, philosophy, and culture influenced the entire civilized world. But by 630 AD, both empires, Persian and Byzantine, were exhausted, broken, and completely bankrupt from centuries of endless war. From the deserts of Arabia came something no one had predicted: a new religion, a new army, a new world. In 651 AD, Arab Muslim armies defeated the Sassanid Empire. Persia, the world's oldest superpower, fell in just 3 years. Islam replaced Zoroastrianism. Arabic replaced Persian in mosques and courts. But the Persian spirit did not break. It adapted instead. Within 2 centuries, Persian scholars, poets, and scientists had become the entire intellectual backbone of the worldwide Islamic Golden Age. Rumi wrote poetry that still moves hearts today. Ibn Sina invented modern medicine. Ferdowsi preserved the Persian language through verse. Then in 1219, the ground shook. The Mongols came, the most terrifying military force in all of recorded human history. Cities standing for thousands of years were wiped from the earth in days. Millions were slaughtered without mercy or compassion. Iran lost over half its population. Great cities like Nishapur and Merv, once larger than Paris, simply ceased to exist. But again, Persia survived. It absorbed the Mongols. Persian culture converted the conquerors, and soon Mongol rulers spoke Persian fluently. In 1501, a teenage Shah named Ismail seized power and declared Shia Islam the official state religion of all Iran. This single decision would define Iran forever. Shia Islam became the very soul and permanent identity of the Persian civilization. The Safavid Empire built Isfahan, one of the most beautiful cities ever constructed in the entire history of human civilization. They fought the mighty Ottoman Empire for centuries in a brutal Sunni-Shia war that permanently reshaped the entire Middle East. By the 1800s, a weak Qajar dynasty ruled Iran, while Britain and Russia circled the country like hungry, patient wolves. Britain wanted Iran's oil. Russia wanted its land. Both empires were carving up Iran, while Iranians remained helpless and humiliated. In 1906, the Iranian people rose and demanded a written constitution, making Iran among the first modern democracies in Asia. Reza Khan seized power in 1921 and became Shah, transforming Iran from a broken medieval kingdom into a modern state. He built schools, railways, and a modern army. He forced Iran into the 20th century through sheer, unyielding iron will. But Britain was watching. In 1941, British and Soviet forces invaded Iran and forced Reza Shah into permanent, humiliating exile. His son, Mohammad Reza Shah, took the throne. Iran had vast oil wealth, but Britain controlled all of it entirely. Then came Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh, a man who dared to do what no Iranian had ever attempted: nationalize the oil. Mossadegh became prime minister and declared Iranian oil belonged to Iranians alone. Britain panicked. America began plotting in the shadows. In 1953, the CIA launched a coup. Mossadegh was removed and jailed. Iran's fragile democracy was destroyed by foreign hands. The Shah returned to power, ruling with American support and an iron fist, creating a feared secret police called Savak. Savak tortured thousands. Free speech was made illegal. The Shah grew richer while a silent, deadly revolution was building underground. In 1979, everything exploded at once. Millions took to the streets. The Shah fled. Iran would never be the same. Ayatollah Khomeini returned from Paris exile. Millions lined the streets weeping. A theocratic Islamic Republic replaced the fallen Persian monarchy. Iran became an Islamic Republic. Religious law replaced civil law. Women were forced into hijab. The world watched in disbelief. American diplomats were taken hostage for 444 agonizing days. The relationship between Iran and the United States was shattered forever. In 1980, Saddam Hussein invaded Iran with American weapons and encouragement, starting the longest conventional war of the 20th century. 8 brutal years of war with Iraq left over 1 million dead and a once proud Iranian nation completely destroyed economically. Khomeini died in 1989. Ali Khamenei became supreme leader, beginning a new chapter of isolation, crippling sanctions, and nuclear ambition. Iran built a secret nuclear program. The West accused it of building bombs. Iran insisted it wanted only peaceful energy. Sanctions crippled Iran's economy. The currency collapsed. Ordinary Iranians suffered greatly, but the government refused to stop the nuclear program. In 2009, millions took to the streets over a disputed election, launching what the world called Iran's Brave Green Movement. The regime crushed it with bullets and arrests, but a seed of defiance was planted deep in the Iranian soil. In 2015, a historic nuclear deal was struck. Iran limited enrichment. Sanctions were lifted. Hope briefly returned to Iranian streets. Then Trump withdrew from the deal in 2018. Crippling sanctions returned. The Iranian rial collapsed. Poverty spread like a wildfire. In September 2022, a young Kurdish woman named Mahsa Amini died in morality police custody for improperly wearing her hijab. The streets exploded. Women burned their hijabs. Men stood beside them. The slogan rang across the world: Woman, life, freedom. The regime responded with bullets and mass executions, but something had broken inside Iran. The old silence was finally ending. In April 2024, Iran launched over 300 drones and missiles at Israel for the very first time in history. Israel retaliated. America warned. The entire world feared this was the beginning of a larger regional and possibly nuclear war. Iran's proxies in Lebanon, Gaza, and Yemen were fighting Israel and America simultaneously, spreading fire across the entire Middle East. Meanwhile, inside Iran, the economy was collapsing. Inflation soared past 50%. Young Iranians were fleeing the country by millions. Sanctions crushed Iran's economy into dust. The rial became worthless. Ordinary Iranians paid the heaviest price for their leaders' ambitions. By 2025, Iran was enriching uranium to 90% purity, just one step below weapons grade. The countdown had begun. World powers scrambled for diplomacy. Israel threatened military strikes. America deployed warships. And Iran refused to blink or back down. It is 2026. Iran stands at the most dangerous crossroads in its long and turbulent 5,000-year history. Every moment counts. Will Iran get the bomb? Will war erupt? Will the people finally rise? Nobody knows, but the world is watching. One thing is absolutely certain. In 5,000 years of recorded history, Iran has never been permanently broken or destroyed. Alexander tried to destroy Persia. The Mongols tried. Rome tried, America's sanctions tried, and yet Iran still stands, still defiant. The Persian soul, that ancient spirit of poetry, conquest, and survival, simply refuses to be extinguished by any earthly force. This is Iran. This is Persia. This is the oldest story in human history, and it is far from over.